Hello music people! This video is an introduction to the Fender Mustang amp. The one I'm using is version 2, and this is the amp that's one of the amps that we use in Centennial College's Music Industry Arts and Performance program. The advantages of using an amp like this at a school or at a church where there's a lot of different users using it is that it's a really versatile amp. It's quite user-friendly. There's a lot of things that it can do really well, and you can save settings into different locations of the amp. The downside is that sometimes people aren't used to these types of amps that have a digital processor built in. Some people are just used to amps that all they have are just the knobs on the outside, and they just kind of turn the knobs and until they find a tone that sounds good. They're not into, looking at an LED screen and saving and that sort of thing. And so that's part of the reason why I'm making this video, and hopefully that will be helpful to people who find themselves using this amp in sort of a shared environment. The first thing you should know is that when you first turn this amp on, it is going to come to channel 0, and that is a channel that's labeled Liquid Solo, and it's actually a pretty cool tone. So it's a nice gain channel. It has a lot of sustain, and there's some delay on it, but you might not necessarily want to use that kind of a tone. You might just want to turn the amp on and quickly find a decent clean tone or just a decent tone with some gain. And so what you can do is you can turn this button and go counterclockwise in numeric order until you find something interesting. But if you're just looking for a quick, simple tone, I would actually suggest to turn it counterclockwise so that you go up into the channel 92, 91, and there you'll get just some basic amp sounds. And I actually kind of like channel 90 because it's just a basic 65 twin. It's just a basic clean sound. Alright? And so what you might do is just kind of adjust the EQ a bit and notice that there's a volume control over here. This is the volume for this particular channel, whereas this is a master volume. So the master volume is not associated with an individual channel. That's just the overall level of the amp. But this volume is the channel specific volume. So when you make a bunch of changes and save this tone, this volume is going to be saved. That's an important thing to realize because you'll want to make sure that you have balanced volume across all of the different channels, and so that is the way that you can do that. Of course, you've also got gain here and also reverb, and you can see that as I'm moving these knobs, you'll see that the front panel view knobs here on the LED screen, they're moving along with me. The reverb, by the way, is not a master reverb. There's separate reverb settings associated with each channel. So I might want to add some reverb. And then when I'm happy with this channel, I might just say, okay, I'm going to play around with the clean channel, and then later you'll leave, and when you come back, you can go to that channel again and make adjustments. But let's say you've gotten the settings just so, and you want to save it. Well, you'll notice that this save button here is lit. So the amp knows when you've made some changes, and the save button lights up to kind of remind you, hey, you've made some changes. Do you want to save those changes? And so if you do, then you just press save, and you have two choices to make. You have to choose the save destination, so you can save it to channel 90 where you found it, or you can save it to a different destination, but that you can select with this big knob, or you can push the knob to edit the name. So if you are sharing this amp with a bunch of people and you want to make sure that nobody touches your clean tone, then what you might want to do is you might want to save it somewhere to some random channel that no one else would ever want to use, and then you would push the knob to edit the name. So you could put your own name in there. And it's a little bit of a process of turning knobs and using the cursor to move along, but let's say I want to save this. And I might want to save it as Jesse65 Twin, okay? I'm not actually going to do it, but I'm just showing you how you could do it if you wanted to. And at any time, by the way, when you're in these editing screens, you can just press exit and you can get out of it right away. Alrighty? Now, you also have a whole bunch of different amp models and effects right at your fingertips. And the best way for me to show you those is by starting with a basic sound like this and adding some effects. So, I've got my clean tone. Okay, so let's say I'm happy with that. So, when I press this amp button, the first thing that I can do is turn this knob, and you can see that at the top here, my amp model is changing. So right now it's the 65 Twin Reverb. I can select 60s Thrift, British Watts, British 60s, British 70s, 80s, British. There's all kinds of different amp models that I can use. So American 90s. So I've got a completely different tone because I've got a completely different amp model. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to the 65 Twin Reverb to keep it clean. Okay. Now you'll notice it says here page 1. On the first page, you've just got gain, volume, treble, mid, bass, reverb. So those are all of these knobs here. But I can actually go and keep pressing this button and go to page 2. And here I can actually adjust some much more advanced settings if I want to do that. And I can get there either by just continually pressing this button, or I can just press the amp button and jump back and forth. Okay? So that's how you can edit the amp model and also some advanced properties associated with that amp model. Okay? Now, let's say I want to add a stomp box. Well, right now, there's no stomp box associated with this channel, so if I just press stomp, nothing's going to happen. But if I want to add a stomp box effect to this, what I have to do, and it even says it here, hold to edit, you have to hold the stomp box, and I can turn knob to choose the effect. So there's all kinds of different green box, overdrive, fuzz, orange box, black box, big fuzz, wah, even a touch wah effect, compressor. Okay, so let's say I want to put a boost on. Okay, so now, okay, so I think that might be a little bit harsh. So I'm going to press this and adjust each of these knobs at a time. So I think I'm okay with the level, but that gain is a bit much. So I'm going to turn that down. Okay, well, I'll just actually, you know, I'm going to turn the brightness down. Okay, so let's say I'm happy with that, and so I'll exit. So now I've got this stomp box effect here. Now to turn it off, I can just touch it, and now it's off. Touch it again. Okay, so that's that. Now let me show you the different modulation effects. So I can hold this down, and I can select different modulation effects. I've got chorus, triangle chorus, flange, vibratone, tremolo, phaser, all sorts of things. Okay, well, let's say I want to add a chorus. Of course, just like before, if I want to adjust different parameters of the chorus effect, I can just push this button and it moves along each thing. So if I want to adjust the depth, then I just go like this. Okay. So maybe I'm happy with that, and I can exit. Now I've got right? So I can also add different kinds of delays. I just turned the chorus off. I'm going to add a delay. So let's say I just want to do a very simple mono delay. All right, so that one's a bit much. I'm going to turn the level down. I want the time to be a bit faster, feedback to be a bit less. Okay, that's a bit too fast. Okay, so I might be happy with that. So now I've got delay. I can turn my chorus back on. And I can even turn my stomp box back on. Now is a good time to show you a bit about this foot switch. There are 3 different modes associated with this foot switch, and I want to show you mode 3. Mode 3 is Stompbox Mode. So to select the different modes, you press this button. So I'm going to go over to mode 3. And you can see that right now, all of these lights are lit up. And when you look at mode 3, this row here, it says Stomp, Mod, and Delay. So when I'm in mode 3, I can actually use these 3 buttons like stomp boxes and turn off each of those effects. So right now, all of those effects are on. If I want to turn the delay off, it's off. If I want to turn the stomp box off, I can turn the stomp box off, so now only chorus is on. And now it's just clean. All right, so that is a really cool feature about this. Mode 1 is basically quick access mode. So you can see if you look at this row here, you've got QA1, QA2, QA3. So let's say in this amp you've got 3 favorite tones and you want to be able to just press that button, you get to, let's say, your favorite clean tone. Press this button, you get to your favorite overdrive tone. Well, what you have to do is you have to go into utility mode, which you do by pressing this button, util, short for utility. Right now, quick access number 1 is associated with 0, 0. But let's say I want it associated with 90. So I've got my basic twin. And the cool thing is you don't actually have to press save in order to save that selection. It'll just automatically remember it, okay? Now let's say you want to put a gain channel on this one. Well, you just press utility again, and you can see now you've got quick access number 2. And let's say I wanted to put basic British 70s here, all right? And then I exit, and so now when I press this button, I go to 90, I go to this button, I go to 94. And then right now, this one's associated with number 2. All right, so that's what you can do. Mode 2 is just a basic up-down. It'll go up and down in numeric order, so 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, back down, I can go. And then this one will go 60, 50, it'll go down in tens, okay? So I want to go to mode 1 and then press that button because that's quick access mode, and I'm back to my nice clean channel. Now, because I didn't save it, when I switched channels, it lost all of those settings that I had before, but that's okay. I just want to leave it as a basic clean channel, but I was adding those effects to show you how you can add and edit different effects. It might be more useful to you to actually find some presets that you like the sound of, but you just want to edit and tweak, and so you can do that using the method that I just showed you. I also want to point out that there is also a built-in tuner on this, and it's actually a pretty decent tuner. You can access it by just holding down the tuner button, and then the amp will be muted, and you can use it this way. Let me take a minute now to go through some of my favorite presets. I really like a lot of these presets. I think they've put a lot of thought into them, and what's pretty cool is that they've named them in a certain way that if you know some famous songs and artists, you can kind of figure out which artist or song they're trying to imitate. So let me just go back. I showed you Liquid Solo earlier. I really like it. All right. Whitechapel Heavy. This is a really great heavy tone. Intro clean is pretty cool. Bad Weather, I'm almost positive that this is alluding to kind of a Stevie Ray Vaughan sort of a thing. I love this tone, E minor Avenger. This actually has an auto harmonizer that will actually harmonize according to the key that you specify. So in this case, obviously it's E minor. So I play an E. It'll pick the appropriate notes to harmonize based on what notes I'm playing. So it's pretty awesome. And if you go into mode 3, you can, of course, turn that off. There's also delay on it, which you can turn off if you don't want it. That's a lot of fun. Okay, so next we'll move through. There's all kinds of different ones that are really cool. 60 Sparkle is kind of an interesting one. Guitar Hero I love. This is great for Rush type songs. So when you first select this tone, of course you can turn the chorus off. You can turn the Stomp Box off if you want. So that's great. Loud as Leeds. This is obviously referring to the Who's Live at Leeds album. So it's pretty great. You can just, play a riff off of Live at Leeds, and it sounds pretty good. Just about anything by The Who sounds great on this tone. Lead communication, alluding to communication breakdown probably. Lots of different things that I could be pausing at. Beauty Clean, I actually kind of like this one. That's a nice clean, lots of reverb on that one and some delay. Ozzy Rock, obviously referring to AC/DC. Sounds great. Obviously you can make adjustments according to what sounds the best on your guitar, but I think it sounds decent out of the box. Metal octave, this is cool. Neil Deluxe. Probably referring to Neil Young, that would be my guess. Touch of reverb, I like this. This is a nice clean tone. Purple Fuzz, probably referring to Deep Purple. Let's see, what else do we have here? All kinds of different stuff. Far Beyond Driven might be referring to Yngwie Malmsteen. Far Beyond the Sun. I don't know that song, but I'm gonna fake it. So it might be good for Yngwie kinds of stuff. Oh, Black Hole Vibe, probably referring to the song Black Hole Sun. I don't know it exactly, but... Alright. A lot of great tones on here. One Bourbon. Probably referring to George Thorogood, One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer, so you could play that song. So let me just grab my slide here. You could probably play any George Thorogood song on this. Puppet Master is probably referring to Metallica's Master of Puppets. Just about any classic Metallica song you could play. So that's a cool tone. I kind of like this one too, Rockabilly Train. Wild 80s lead, referring to Zakk Wylde. Use that for just about any 80s metal. Just kind of continuing to move through here. And then once you start to get to the early 80s sounds here, 83, 84, you start to get into basic 57 champ, basic 57 deluxe, 57 twin, 59 bassman. So it's just doing these basic sounds associated with all of the different amp models that it has built in. All right, and so I hope that this video has been helpful. There's some more that could be said about this amp, but these are sort of the basic functions, and this should be enough to kind of get you started at least, so that if you come across this amp at a studio or in a practice space, you'll know enough about it to at least get started. All right, so I hope this video has been helpful, and I will see you next time.